Hi, we're back. Can you hear us? Beautiful.
Hi, Mark.
Perfect. Thanks, Adam. Good to see you. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome back to Temple Bet Shalom. We have a number of people in our congregation in person, and I know a number of people online through technology. We're going to have two B'nai Mitzvah families participate this evening, one online, the Shapiros, and the Perlins in person. And we know there are going to be beautiful simchas tomorrow morning with the Perlins and tomorrow afternoon with Mia's Bat Mitzvah. So we wish both families Mazal Tov and the very best as you begin this simcha-filled weekend. I want to tell you that, as always, we encourage you to go to our website and see the different programs that are going on. There are so many things happening here at Temple Beth Shalom. Adult ed classes, Torah study, book reviews. Monday the 8th, we're doing a program on Jerry Stiller as part of our Jewish comedian series. Anyways, I know I got cut off. I want to tell you about our sisterhood program coming up on November the 10th. And then a brotherhood program. There's all kinds of things going on. But as Rabbi Pomerantz always says at this very moment,
Enjoy Shabbat.
Havana Shira, let's sing. Havana Shira, Havana Shira, Havana Shira, let us sing. Try it. Havana Shira, Havana Shira, Havana Shira, let us sing. Come, let us sing. Come, let us sing. Come, let us sing. Havana Shira. Come,
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you all for joining us at Temple Beth Shalom for Kabbalat Shabbat. It's so beautiful to see so many of you here tonight with us in person, and we as well welcome everyone joining us online. It is my honor tonight. We're joined by Rabbi Glickstein and Cantor Siegel, and we are very much looking forward to celebrating Shabbat with you this evening. I've had a lot of questions over the past couple of weeks about how do I pray? What's the right way to stand? What's the right thing to say? What is the deal with people moving back 3 steps, moving forward 3 steps? When do I bounce up and down? There's a lot of things that happen during the prayer service, and there are some technical rules that we're supposed to follow, but in the end, prayer is supposed to be more than those technicalities. We're not supposed to have a roteness to it. We're specifically supposed to be praying to God, which is something that's personal and special and spiritual and supposed to connect us to something bigger than us. So I would like to share with you all as we begin Shabbat this evening a poem from one of my favorite poets, is an Israeli poet, Alden Salavai. The name of this poem is Sacred Silly. Wouldn't it be fun, just one time, to secretly slip a goofy prayer inside the Siddur, say in the middle of the Amidah, where an unsuspecting Yid like you or me might just crack up in sacred silliness, holy happiness, loving laughter, as a testimony to the juicy joy of Jewish jubilation. So serious, these liturgists, these poets, these paitanim. Let's guffaw for God. Let's laugh out loud in praise. Let's giggle in thanksgiving. Ivdu et Adonai b'simcha, bo lefanav birnana. Worship Adonai with gladness. Come into God's presence with singing. Let joy rise up to the gates of prayer. Let laughter shake the highest heavens. And we begin this evening, this service. I hope that we can all bring joy, some laughter, and some lightness to our prayers this evening. And it is my honor as we begin services to bring in Shabbat with the light of Shabbat and the sweetness of Shabbat as we light our candles and sing Kiddush, our B'nai Mitzvah this evening, Ethan and his family, and Mia and her family.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own days, be among those who kindle light.
If you would read for us, please.
Yes. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
And now our fathers will introduce the Kiddush, beginning with Mia's father.
Vahi Erev, Hai Vokar, Yom Hashishi. And there was evening and there was morning, the sixth day.
Okay, thank you so much.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
And now Mia will begin our Kiddush for us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei peri hagafen.
Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinhalanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom tehila lemikra ekodesh zeher litziat mitzrayim ki vanu vaharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodsha be'ava uvratzon hinhalpanu Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat.
L'chaim. And Mazal Tov to our B'nai Mitzvah and their families. We look forward to hearing a bit more later in the service. And as we continue to welcome in Shabbat, please join me on a reading on the top of page 9. There are days when we seek things from ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. And we continue in our Kabbalat Shabbat service on page 12 for Lechuna Ranana.
Lechun ranana Adonai Nahariya Letzor Yishenu Lechun ranana Adonai Nahariya Letzor Yishenu Nekad Mafanav Betoda Bizmirot Nahariya Lo Lechun ranana Adonai Nahariya Letzor Yishenu Nekad Mafanav Betoda Bizmirot Nahariya Lo Nekad Mafanav Betoda Bizmirot Nahariya Lo Ki אשר בידו מחקרי הארץ ותועפות הרים לו. אשר בידו מחקרי הארץ ותועפות הרים לו. ילאי, ילאי, לי, 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 לי,
We continue with Lecha Dodi on page 20. We will read verses 1 to 5. We will pray, verses 1 to 5 and 9. And just before the 9th verse, we will all rise and officially receive Shabbat as we turn to the entrance of the sanctuary.
Yalla la 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 lecha dodi, yalla la 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 likrat kala, yalla la 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 penei Shabbat nekabe, yalla la 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 lecha dodi, yalla la 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 likrat kala. Yalla la 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 penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad hishmianu el hamyuchad Adonai echad ushmo echad l'shem utiferet v'litchila yai lai lai ya la 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 lecha dodi ya la 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 lekrakala ya la 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 penei Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshava tchila yai lai lai ya la 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 lecha dodi ya la 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 likrat kala ya la 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 penei Shabbat nekabela hitoreri kiva orech kumi uri shir daberi kevod Adonai alayech nigla yai lai lai ya la 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 lecha dodi ya la 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 lekrat kala ya la 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 penei Shabbat nekabela Bo'i v'shalom עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, מואי חלה, מואי חלה, יא אלי, יא לה 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 לך דודי, יא לה 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 לקרוא כלה, יא לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבל, יא לה 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 לך דודי, יא לה 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 לקרוא כלה, יא לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
This week, in the Tuesday morning Pirkei Avot class, which I had the honor of visiting, we talked about gatherings and that there are some gatherings that are sacred for the sake of heaven and that there are some that aren't. And what are the difference between those two types of gatherings? And what we came to as one possible answer is the difference is the intention in which you come together. And it is Shabbat now. This is our time to make this day different, to make this day holy, to set our intentions for what our prayers will be tonight and what our mood will be over the next 25-hour period of time that we experience Shabbat. So as we just officially welcomed in Shabbat to our sanctuary and called this gathering a sacred space, a space with intention, I invite everyone to think about as we move into our evening prayers with Baruch Hu, what is your intention this evening? We continue with our call to prayer on page 28.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed, Le'olam Va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
And I now invite our B'nai Mitzvah back up to the bima to recite the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvchol nafshecha uvchol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohi metzavecha hayom al levanecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta babam ve'shivtecha bevetecha uvlachtecha vaderech uvshukbeha uvchumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafod bein einecha uvtavtam amazot beitecha uvisharecha lemahan tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai Vitem kedushim leElohehem ani Adonai Elohehem asher hotzeiti ethem me'eretz Mitzrayim lahuyot lehem leElohim ani Adonai Elohehem.
Yasher koach, Ethan. Mazal tov to you and your family. I know you're going to be amazing tomorrow. Looking forward to it. And before we pray the words of Mi Chamocha, our ancient prayer for redemption, I offer another poem from Alden Sullivan. Mi Chamocha, who is like you? Who is like you, God of mystery and majesty, distant and present, thundering and quiet, the beginning and the end, the atom and the cosmos, the darkness and the light, the one and the all, pillar and foundation, artist of sea and sky, author of the miraculous and the mundane, source of life, blessing and sustaining creation. Who is like you, glorious in holiness, to whom we praise, to whom we give thanks, the God who redeemed us from Egypt, the God who parted the sea, the God to whom Miriam and Moses led us in song. Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar bakodesh, norati lo tosef ele, norati lo tosef ele, malachotecha ra'uvanecha, bokeh hayam livnei Moshe uMiriam, zeli, zeli, anu ve'amiru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed.
Continue with our song of praise, Yismechu, our song of joy.
So Yismechu is part of the section of the service called the Kiddushat Hayom, the holiness of this day, and we're in a rejoiceful mood for the holiness of this day. So these melodies at this section are a little bit more upbeat and freilich. Now, I know you know I'm singing. It's really hard for me to know if you're singing when you're in your mask. I have the speaker with a piano at me. I can't hear very well. And we all need to be a little bit more uplifting when we sing and celebrate the joy of Shabbat. So I'm relying on you. There's some big parts coming up for you. Okay?
Page 44.
I die 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 I die 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 I die die ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג מקדש שבי שבת שבת כולם ישמעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת That's it. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת חמדת ימים אותו קראת השבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג זכר למעשה וראשית שבת זכר למעשה וראשית שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג
Not bad.
Yasher koach, everyone. We continue in our prayers with our central prayer, the Amidah, and I invite you all to please rise as we face the ark on page 46.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue with our prayers silently, and when you are finished, you may be seated.
Open to the fear, open to the loneliness, open to the dark, the unknown.
Open to the strength, open to the holiness, open to the light of coming home. We will be ever open, ever open, ever open. Open to the hope, even when it's slow to move, even if it seems a change won't come. We will face the day, we will hold each other close, we will sing a song when there is none. We will be ever open, ever open, ever open. We will be ever open, ever open, ever open. Betach libi, betach libi, betach libi. My heart will always be ever open, ever open, ever open. Always be ever open, ever open, ever open. My heart will always be ever open, ever open, ever open. My heart will always be ever open, ever open, ever open. My heart will always be ever open.
Shabbat Shalom. The melody that Alan is playing is a song that some of us are very familiar with. It was written by Rabbi Menachem Creditor to a piece from Psalm 89, Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. The world will be built by Chesed. And then Rabbi Creditor wrote these words. He wrote, I will build the world with love, and you must build the world with love. If we build the world with love, then God will build this world from love. Now, the word is chesed. Chesed, olam chesed yibaneh. And love in Hebrew is ahava, not chesed. Ahava, the word, is a wonderful word, but it's static. I can love someone without acting on it. Or as the song from the musical Avenue Q expresses, the more you love someone, the more you want to kill them. Now, not that I've ever felt that way exactly, but chesed, as opposed to ahava, is an active word. It demands action, action out of love, loving kindness. I must demonstrate my love with some positive act. Olam Chesed Yibaneh means that the world is built on acts of loving kindness. Or as the commentator, the Malbim, said, God created the world as an act of God's love. And as an aside, I question the phrase, killing someone with kindness. I've never known anyone who's been killed with kindness. I've never heard of anyone who was killed of kindness. And in fact, you can sign me up right now for that form of death. Kill me with kindness, please. Now, in the Talmud, Ram Simlai writes this. He says, the Torah begins with an act of kindness and ends with an act of chesed, kindness. It begins with God clothing the naked, clothes Adam and Eve, and the end, it acts with God caring for the dead, and God buried Moses in the valley. And further in the Talmud, in Sukkah, our masters taught that chesed, loving kindness, is even greater than tzedakah, one of the greatest of values, and said in 3 ways it's greater. Tzedakah is done with money, while loving kindness may be done with money or with one's person. Tzedakah is only for the poor, while chesed may be given to both poor and rich. Tzedakah is given only to the living, while chesed, loving kindness, may also be given not only to the living, but to the dead as well. So we're talking about this notion of loving kindness. And I noticed that this week, many of you may have noticed that it came out that Merriam-Webster added 455 new words to the dictionary. I don't know if you saw that. These are some of the words they added. I don't really understand all of them. Dad bod. I understand dad bod. I've had that all my life. Deplatform. Okay. Oobleck. Oh, someone understands it. Air fryer. Whataboutism. FTW. What? Oh, for the win. Oh, thank you, Rabbi. And 4th trimester. That's just wrong. Now, just as language never stops evolving, the dictionary never stops expanding. But I want you to know that the word loving kindness, that phrase, that word, was first created in the original English translation of the Hebrew Bible, when William Tyndale realized that English had no equivalent for chesed. It had for love, ahava, but not for chesed. So he formed the word loving kindness, and we've been using it for the centuries since. In our parasha Chayei Sarah this week, Abraham trusted his servant Eliezer to go and to find a wife for his son Isaac. And there's one quality that Eliezer uses to judge the character of the woman who would become the second matriarch of our people. And that characteristic is chesed. And this is what it's written in the Torah. Lord God, or my master Abraham, make me successful today and show kindness, chesed, to my master Abraham. See, I'm standing beside this spring of water, and the daughters of the townspeople are coming out to draw water. May it be that when I say to a young woman, please let down your jar that I may drink, and she says, drink, and I'll water your camels too, let her be the one you have chosen for your servant Isaac. By this I will know that you have shown chesed, loving kindness, to my master. This past week we observed the first yahrzeit of Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. In one of his commentaries on this portion, he wrote that during the many centuries of exile and dispersion, Jewish communities were built around these needs. They're called chavrot friendly societies. And in the 17th century Rome, for example, he said there were 7 societies dedicated to the provision of clothes, shoes, linen, beds, warm winter clothes, coverings for children, the poor, widows, and prisoners. There were 2 societies that provided dowries, trousseaux, to loan jewelry to poor brides. There was one for visiting the sick, another to bring help to families who had suffered bereavement, and others to perform the last rites for those who had died. And the burial itself. 11 fellowships existed. We're talking about 17th century Rome, and this was typical of Jewish communities and is to this day. It existed for scholarships, for educational and religious aims, for study and prayer. They raised alms for Jews in the Holy Land. They were involved in various activities, helping in the circumcision of newborn boys. Others dealt with the poor, means to provide mezuzot for doors, or oil for Hanukkah lights, or candles for the Shabbat. Chesed, in its many forms, became synonymous with Jewish life, and one of the pillars for which it has always stood. And today, our federation, that communal system, continues that commitment. It remains one of the most powerful statements of Jewish values played out in the lives of our most vulnerable. That's why each of us should support federation, not only with our tzedakah, but with our chesed as well. And then Rabbi Sachs told this story that points to how one act of chesed can change a life and in many ways a world. It was 1966, and a black family moved into a white neighborhood in Washington, D.C. And an 11-year-old son of the family with his 2 brothers and sisters were sitting on the front step of the house. And they were looking to see how they would be greeted in this white neighborhood. They'd heard terrible things about the way whites treated blacks. They'd never experienced it yet. And their worst fears were realized as white people came by, didn't look at them, didn't smile, didn't greet them. And they feared what would be their experience here in white D.C. And as this young 11-year-old was thinking these thoughts, one white woman coming home from work passed by on the other side of the street. And she turned to the children, and with a broad smile, she said, "Welcome." And she disappeared into her house. She emerged minutes later with a tray with drinks and sandwiches that she brought over to the children to make them feel at home. That moment, that young man wrote later, changed his life. It gave him a sense of belonging where there was none before, made him realize that even in a time of race relations in the United States so fraught that a black family could live among whites in a white area and still develop relationships that were colorblind. The young man is named Stephen Carter. He eventually became a law professor at Yale, and he wrote a book called Civility. The name of the woman, he tells us in the book, is Sarah Kessenbaum. She died all too young. But he adds that it's no coincidence that she was a religious Jew. He says, in Jewish tradition, chesed, the act of doing acts of kindness, which is in turn derived from the understanding that human beings are made in the image of God, is civility. Itself, civility itself, may be seen as a part of chesed. It does indeed require kindness toward our fellow citizens, including the ones who are strangers, and even when it's hard. And to this day, he added, I close my eyes and feel on my tongue the smooth, slick sweetness of the cream cheese and jelly sandwiches that I gobbled on that summer afternoon when I discovered that a single act of genuine and unassuming civility can change a life forever. As the late Abraham Joshua Heschel used to say, when I was young, I admired cleverness. Now that I am old, I admire kindness more. I am old now, and I can attest to that truth. I love the Beatles' music. I love almost all of it, but there's one thing they got wrong. It isn't love that is all we need now. It's chesed. It's loving kindness that we need. Even Rabbi Creditor got it a little wrong. Chesed, not just love. Chesed like Rebecca at the well, like Sarah Kestenbaum, and God in taking care of Adam and Eve and Moses. And as the words that are written later in the Torah say, it is not too distant from you. It's in your mouth, in your heart, that you should do it. Little acts of chesed can change the world, can rebuild our broken world. Olam chesed yibaneh.
Olam chesed yibaneh, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai. I will build this world from love, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai. And you must build this world with love, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai. And if we build this world with love, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai, then God will build this world with love, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Rabbi. Thank you for those extremely powerful words. And now we turn our hearts and our minds to those in our community that are in need of healing. We can pray for all of the people who need healing of both body, mind, and spirit. If you are thinking of someone who is in need of any type of healing, or if you yourself are in need of healing, please feel free to say them out loud as my eyes move around the room, or to enter them into our Facebook page if you are joining us on Facebook. We keep all of their names in our hearts as we pray together our prayer for healing, Mishaberach.
Mishaberach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha le'avotenu. Aleinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And we begin to conclude services this evening with Aleinu. As we open the ark, I invite you to rise. It can be found on page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gidula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyeh haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo samech alkeinu kahem, v'goraleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. And we now turn our hearts and minds to those in our community who are loved and lost, to those who are no longer with us. We remember especially those in our community who have died in the past 30 days and whose loved ones are in the Shloshim of mourning. We remember Lori Schreier, Myrna Schrager, Paul Chernis, Patricia Sukanik, Stephen David Borofsky, Scott Berkman, Margot London, and Harriet Sterling. We also remember this evening those in our community who have died at this time in years past and whose families have lovingly inscribed their names in our alcove of remembrance. We remember Shepard Broad, Julia Cooperman, Lillian Frumkes, Ray J. Goodstone, Morris Granoff, David Hecht, Esther Cushman, Nellie Miller, Hilda Novigrad, Mary Perahia Pardo, Annette Midge Pasternak, Nellie Perrell, Ethel D. Sparrow, and Chaim Weisman. We also remember all of those in our community who have died at this time in years past and whose yard sites are observed this Shabbat. We remember Gary Basin, Benzion, and Ben David, Sarah Berezdevin, Etta Leah Black, Claire Barkowski, Zelda Channing, Albert Alexander DeVore, Gertrude M. Faber, Murray Feiner, Muriel Fine, Margie Gelber, Benjamin Grad, Norman Hirsch, Leonard Lifland, Doris Ornstein, Anita Rosenblatt, Albert Sackner, Joseph Abraham Schoen, Sidney Shipman, Joel Stein, Edmund Wachter, and Samuel Weisner. This Shabbat, we also remember that it is the 3rd anniversary of those whose lives were senselessly taken at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. May all of their memories be for a blessing. And if you are in a period of mourning this evening, if you are remembering a yard site yourself or in a period of mourning of Shiva, the first week, Shloshim, the first month, or Shana, the first year, please, I invite you to rise at this time if you are in the period of mourning or would like to say a name so that we can soon rise with you. We keep all of their names in our hearts as we rise together as one community to recite Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirteh ve'amlich malchuteh, b'chayachon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, bagala uvizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to all of us and to all of Israel, to which we say, amen. Zichronam levracha, may all of their memories be for us a blessing. You may be seated. And now it is my honor to invite up Phyllis Winston, our board member, who will be sharing our announcements this evening.
I have to remove this, otherwise I fog up and can't see anything. Let me just say Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you. I want to really thank the rabbis for the beautiful words that you had tonight, between the poems and the words that Rabbi Glickstein shared with us, and also, of course, Tanner Siegel with her beautiful music, and Alan. It's just been absolutely incredible. And for those of you who are out there in TV land, as I call it, from the old days, please consider joining us in the future. It's beautiful to be here. Mazel tov to the families of Ethan Perlin on your bar mitzvah tomorrow. It's exciting. For tomorrow morning, you'll have a lot of fun. You did great tonight. You'll do fantastic tomorrow. Enjoy. And also to Mia Shapiro and her family for the bat mitzvah tomorrow afternoon. You guys will have a great time. As for the announcements of what's going on, there's always something exciting. Join us tomorrow morning at 9:30 for Torah study via Zoom. It's really great. We have a terrific group, and it's always interesting and exciting. At 10 o'clock, Tat Shabbat. You have a choice. You can either come in person or be on Facebook Live. At 10:30, Shabbat Minyan service in person via Watch, Facebook, Zoom. You have many choices. Adult education classes here at Temple are ongoing all the time. Just look at the website, find the class, and you can join anytime. On Wednesday, November 3rd, TBS Innovative School is sponsoring a 3-day mini book fair in the Welcome Center. Please come, buy some books, and join us. On Thursday, November 4th, 7 o'clock, please join Rabbi Glickstein for a class. His classes are incredible. Foundations for a Thoughtful Judaism, Mitzvot, and Commandments. Thank you. He's here, he'll test me. No, okay, moving on. But his classes are great. And for any information about any of these opportunities, you can always go on our websites and our emails. But I'm going to go off script for just a moment. They can kick me out, it's okay. But anyway, just a little plug for Sisterhood. I want to tell all the ladies out there to please join us at Sisterhood. The membership of Sisterhood is a support to our fantastic temple. It's great. We love being here, and it's just a great opportunity to be with all the ladies. And after you join Sisterhood, you can join us for our next event, November 10th. We will be having here in the Palm Garden. It'll be a great evening at 6:30. Not only, I won't go into a lot of details because I'm off script, of course, but there will be a great comedian live via Zoom, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we have to have a lot of fun as well as enjoy all the education. Thank you very much, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Phyllis. Shabbat Shalom. And the world can use, as Rabbi mentioned this evening, a little more loving kindness. So we will conclude the service again with Olam Chesed Yibaneh. You should all know the words by now, so I invite you all to sing along.
Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yalla lai lai lai, Yalla lai lai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yalla lai lai lai, Yalla lai lai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yalla lai lai lai, Yalla lai lai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yalla lai lai lai, Yalla lai lai. I will build this world with love. Yalla lai lai lai, Yalla lai lai. And you must build this world with love. Yalla lai lai lai, Yalla lai lai. And if we build this world with love, Yalla lai lai lai, Yalla lai lai, then God will build this world with love. Yalla lai lai lai, Yalla lai lai. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you all for joining us. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. Yasher Koach.